What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and I'm once again joined by Tyler, and we are back for the final video in our Avengers community series. This community series has been going on for many Thursdays. They air every Thursday at noon Eastern Standard Time. This is it. Tonight, Avengers Infinity War comes out in theaters. We were doing a giveaway of Avengers Infinity War. That came up yesterday, so if you want to win the Blu-ray when the movie comes out, check out that video. And we're going to have many videos of Avengers after tonight. We're going to be reviewing it, and we're going to be having several discussions about not just this film, but also Avengers 4 once we kind of learn more about it. So Tyler and I are stoked. We're going to be seeing it tonight. I assume a lot of the world is seeing it tonight. And in this video, we want to talk about time travel. Time travel has been a pretty big thing talked about, theorized, and almost really confirmed at this point to be in Avengers 4. So Tyler and I are going to talk about what we think they are going to do, how this all works. There was a theory online from a person that kind of went viral talking about his theory, which is funny enough that Tyler, and he'll explain it, but Tyler had a very similar theory a long time ago that lines up pretty well, and in some ways we think better. So we're going to hand it off to Tyler. Tyler's going to tell us his theory of how time travel could work, what it means for the characters, what it means for the story. Tyler, go ahead.
So what I said, Alex can definitely say almost a year ago, I think it was, where I said that I believe that, we'll get this entire movie, and for the most part, everybody may die or a lot of people die. But then at the very end, we find out that Doctor Strange is showing Tony Stark, here's what's going to happen. And then Tony Stark then they all come up with a plan on how to take on Thanos before he starts his, all the Infinity Stone, all that journey and coming to Earth. That's what I said would be the cliffhanger for the ending, was Doctor Strange reveals that, this is just all a preview. But, I don't quite think that's how it'll end. I do think there will be something similar, though, in the movie. I guess we'll find out tonight. What the guy said was that there was the scene of Spider-Man and Doctor Strange where he says we're using our made-up names then. Like that, there's two different variations of that scene, but they're not only different, the background is different also. And Tony Stark is in one where he's not in another one. So either they have two separate, totally different scenes for that scene, and either one's deleted or they just liked one better than the other, or, which I would find weird that they did that, put that two of the same scenes in the trailers. That would be strange. Or the guy's right, and I might be right, and there is time travel. And what we do know from the Comic-Con trailer that came out a long time ago is that Tony Stark is holding a bloodied Peter Parker or Spider-Man in his arms, and Tony kind of looks off or something. And Peter says, I'm sorry, Tony, or something like that. So it seems like Thanos really beat the crap out of Spider-Man. In the first teaser, we saw a scene where Thanos has basically Spider-Man by the face and slams him down. So everyone's like, oh, that must happen right before that or something like that. Now, what I think may happen, because when you watch some of the early trailers compared to what we see now, it seemed originally like it was only Iron Man and Spider-Man versus Thanos. Now it seems like it's Iron Man, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Star-Lord, and Drax versus Thanos. Where before, because then, there's the Doctor Strange magic, there's Star-Lord upside down shooting and doing other stuff. We never see Drax, I don't think, doing anything. So I thought that was a little bit weird. What happened to Doctor Strange? What happened to Star-Lord? What happened to Drax in the other scenes for them to not be for Tony Stark to be able to have that second holding Spider-Man? There's something seems off where I almost feel like those are two separate battles, to where I almost wonder if Spider-Man does get beaten or something, and Tony has, maybe Doctor Strange is there or something, and Tony has Doctor Strange, I could visibly see him upset, and he's like, you need to turn back time, do it right now. Doctor Strange is probably like, but there's going to be ramifications. He's like, I don't care, do it, because he cares about Peter secretly, but mainly the hot Aunt May that he's really trying to get with. So he'd be like, I don't care, just do it. So then he does time or whatever, but this time the fight goes a little bit different because they kind of know how Thanos fights and like how it's going to go. So I think that may happen. And one of the things I noticed myself, and I haven't said anything yet, and I'll try to put the clips together maybe for the video, is I think it was the first teaser or the first trailer we got for Infinity War. The scene where Thanos is coming right towards the camera and he's doing a jump to a punch. That has now turned into we see him jumping from like left to right, and he's jumping parallel to what looks like Doctor Strange magic, and he's jumping and using that same punch, but this time he's using the Power Stone, and this power like beam comes out of the Infinity Gauntlet. So either Thanos really loves that running jump punch move and does it more than once, and we've already seen it in different trailers, or it's a different timeline. He didn't do that the first time, but now he's doing it this time because Doctor Strange might have not done something the last time. So I almost feel like we are seeing already a different timeline just from the trailers. Now, how does that affect the overall movie? I think that might be how Hawkeye turns into Ronin. And this is all going to connect on why we don't see Ant-Man, why we don't see Hawkeye and all that stuff. I think what may happen is, obviously they don't beat Thanos there, but what might happen is, they buy enough time or whatever, and Tony would probably be like, things worked out okay, and then they make it back to Earth or whatever, but then they find out about, like we need to call in everybody or whatever, however that scene goes, and then when they're looking into Hawkeye, he's not Hawkeye anymore, he's kind of like, he's like a rogue whatever. His family was killed or something like that. And then that's when Tony would be like, we can only, if somebody dies or whatever, basically this is our trump card. We cannot keep doing this. Like that's when things like that would take place, where it's like, we did it the one time, but look what already happened. We can't keep doing it. So this is like the last resort thing. Like basically the only way that we can go back and rewrite time is if like a lot of us die, and then there's no hope. And then you have to rewrite it, and then we'll go from there. So I think we might see something like that. So I think the timeline thing for 3, I think we'll only see that happen once. But in 4, I think we'll see quite a bit of time jumping, maybe because there's more of an understanding. I'm not sure how or why, but I have a feeling in Avengers 4 there's going to be more time jumping, especially because now we learned that Scott Lang's daughter, they cast a girl who's much older, because I feel like she's like 6 or 7 in Ant-Man, but they cast one who's like a teenager to be in Avengers 4. So either there's a massive time skip, well, there has to be a massive time skip for that to make sense. So what's weird about that to me is Avengers Infinity War is only 3 years after Civil War. So how many years is Avengers 4 after Avengers Infinity War? I don't think it will be that many for her to become like 15 or 16 after only being like 7. So I think there's going to be quite some time jumping. How it's going to go, obviously, I have no idea. But I think we are going to be, because it makes more sense too for the multiverse. Don't forget that they said after Avengers 4, we're entering the multiverse and this and that. So things are going to get a lot crazier. And I think really the only way that they're going to be able to beat Thanos, if Thanos is still the enemy, which I still think he's going to be the enemy in Avengers 4, the only way that they're going to be able to beat him, I think, is if they get almost a lot crazier too. Like some of the stuff it's going to be more like power and time jumping and like crazy stuff, I think, than just like we're fighting them with our fists. Now, what I hope they don't do, because again, I don't think they're going to do it in 3, but I think and they do say that 3 and 4 are very separate films. So it's kind of confusing on what they mean by that. And I guess we'll find out very soon. But I just hope if they do, I don't like that. I just hope that if they do, time jumps or multiple timelines, I hope they don't do too many to where it's like, okay, now like you're overusing it, which they're smart enough to not do that. So when it's done, it will be smart, if it's done. But I believe that it will be done. So when it's done, it'll be smart. It's just going to be like, who at the end of the day, because there are permanent deaths and we've been told that. Like, let's say, for example, let's say Spider-Man dies or is like going to be dying. So Tony Stark does what I said and has Doctor Strange rewrite time. So they go back, they redo the fight. This time Star-Lord and Drax, they show up. And then the second time around, if Drax dies, Tony Stark's going to have to be like, hey, we can't keep, sorry, but we can't because things have already changed. Or who knows, you know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting on like who they might kill. And then it's like, well, are they going to save him? Yeah, they're going to save him. And then they totally don't save him. But then they might save somebody else. Like, it'll be interesting if they do it like 1 to 2 times. I think 2 would be max. 3 would be borderline too much in like a 2.5 hour movie. But it will be interesting. Like, if Cap dies and like we're all waiting, like, come on, you're going to do it, right? And then like you see like on their faces and it's like, wait, what? Why are you moving on to the next scene? Why are you going to you have to save Captain America? So if that it'll be interesting how they use this time travel, because they'll totally be setting up something greater in the end. But I guess we'll just have to see. But I feel like time is going to be a large part of Avengers 3 and Avengers 4. That's how it seems. Not because of the like time stone, but like literally time. Like how like they have no time left. It's gonna be like a race against the clock. Thanos is on his journey, and he's so powerful basically that it's not going to take him a lot of time to finally arrive to Earth to try to take that stone from Vision. So I think there's going to be a lot of, and then the time travel that might happen, or new timelines or whatever. So I think time will heavily be a big story factor. And the other thing too is feeling like we didn't have that much time with these characters, and having characters feel like they didn't have much time with each other, like at the end. So I do think time will definitely be something that carries throughout 3 and 4. And just real quick, the weird thing is how they're saying that Avengers 4 concludes the Captain America Winter Soldier story. So I really wonder what they mean. Like, how is that going to connect to Thanos and the Infinity Stones? I have no idea. Is there going to be some kind... Because we already know that they've filmed stuff, to recreate, like, Avengers 1 Captain America, like, post-Chitauri and Loki fight or war. So it's kind of like, are we going to... Is somehow Captain America, like, the key to all this? I don't know, but, like, are we going to, like, jump through multiple phases of his life? And, like, are they going to rewrite certain elements? Like, it'll be interesting why they're going with Captain America's storyline to be like how they conclude the entire first 10 years of Marvel movies to enter into a whole new, like, brand new phase of movies that they say will be completely different. So definitely, and the thing again about time is the oldest Marvel character. We don't really know Thor's age, but I think the oldest Marvel character is Captain America. At least he always makes the jokes about being old. So again, like, I think time will heavily be a thing, which is interesting that they're going with that, because I always just equated Doctor Strange with time. I didn't really equate everything with time, but I guess I don't know. I guess that makes sense. And then before I'm done talking, I'll shut up in a second. I just want to throw this out there right now, so for whoever hears it, I'm fully calling the name for Avengers 4. It will be Avengers Fallen Sun. Avengers Fallen Sun, everybody. So you heard it here first on Podcast Now. If anybody else said it, it's because I wrote it in comment sections. That's why.
So yeah, I agree. I think that time travel at this point seems pretty obvious, but I do like the way you were going when you were talking about overusing it and how they would use it. That's definitely going to be the biggest part for me in Avengers 3 and 4. But I do agree. I think that the best idea would be to mention it and maybe show it or like set it up that they're going to do it in this third movie and then do it do it a couple times in 4. But it will be interesting to see how often they do it, just because, like you were saying, it really puts the whole kind of movie thing in perspective. I think a thing that these movies have done really, really well recently is made it so that it's very believable. And yes, they're superheroes, but they're human, and you feel for them. And they have this emotion, they have this journey, and we've been with them for a long time. And if they do that thing where, like you said, maybe they pick favorites, or it's because of some sort of external decision, contract-wise, or future Marvel movie-wise, and it's like, yeah, Captain America dies, and they don't save him, but for some reason they save another character. Or lesser known or lesser cared about characters like Drax or like Nebula or whatever that would make people sad. Not, and I'm talking about audience and also characters in the movie. Then they would just leave them dead for whatever reason. So they do have to be careful. They do have to be careful because it needs, like you were saying, for like a greater goal. I think that needs to be stated. I think it will. I think no matter what happens with this time travel, how they use it, if they use it to save somebody, if they don't use it to save other people, it needs to be stated that like the end goal is all that matters. It's defeating Thanos. It's not losing everybody. And there's got to be reasons why you wouldn't bring back certain people that the movie tells you about or is just blatantly clear. That's what I want to see. But I think they have a lot of promise with this idea of time travel. We don't see it that often in movies, and even in the superhero genre, we don't see time travel all that much. But it's obviously, I think, going to be used in a really, really big way. Tyler had been saying it for literally a year and a half plus. And then, obviously, like I said earlier in the video, we saw whatever Twitter user, they got pretty viral talking about, guys, like, what if this happens and what if this connects to this? And it's like, funny enough, people have already thought that. It's cool that went viral, but people have already been saying that, Tyler being one of them. So I think it is very interesting. We'll have to see. We'll have to see if it's introduced in 3. We'll have to see if it's used in 3. And I think that'll definitely impact what happens in 4. So that is it. Let us know in the comments below what you guys think of this topic. This tonight is the night that we've been waiting for. Avengers Infinity War comes out in theaters. Tyler and I are going to be seeing it. We're going to be reviewing it tomorrow. And then over the weekend, as well as the first half of next week, we're going to have tons of Avengers content, both talking about Infinity War and also talking about Avengers 4. We'll be back next Thursday kind of for a wrap-up video, but we'll have content up until Thursday as well. Check out our giveaway if you want to win Avengers Infinity War when it releases on Blu-ray. And we will see you guys for a review of Avengers Infinity War coming out tomorrow.